dive into the vibrant city of Porto, Portugal, a place where culture, cuisine, and cost of living create an appealing package for expats. Tucked along the Douro River, Porto enchants with its colorful facades, historic charm, and a climate that's hard to beat. The city's rich culinary scene, from sumptuous street food to fine dining, is a gastronome's paradise. And let's not forget the thriving arts and music scenes that keep the city's pulse beating. Now let's delve into the cost of living in this enticing city. Accommodation is a major aspect of living expenses, whether you're considering long-term stays or shorter visits. In Porto, Portugal, the cost of housing varies based on the type of accommodation and its location. For a single-bedroom apartment in the city center, you're looking at an average monthly rent of around €800. If you move away from the city center, the rent can drop to around €550 a month. Now, if you're considering a 3-bedroom apartment for a family or group, the average rent in the city center is approximately €1,600, while in the outskirts, it's about €1,000. For those considering short-term stays, holiday apartments or Airbnb rentals average around €60 per night. However, prices can fluctuate based on the season and demand. Remember, location and size greatly influence the cost of accommodation in Porto. A gastronomic adventure awaits you in Porto, but what will it cost? Well, let's start with home-cooked meals. If you're the type who likes to whip up your own culinary delights, you'll find that groceries are quite affordable. On average, a week's worth of groceries for one person could cost you around €40 to €50. Now, if you're more into street food, you're in for a treat. Porto's streets are brimming with food vendors selling everything from the famous francesinha sandwich to the delectable pastel de nata. You could have a hearty meal for as low as €5. Fancy dining out? A meal at a mid-range restaurant would cost about €15 to €20 per person. And if you want to splurge a little, a 3-course meal at an upscale restaurant could set you back about €30 to €40. Whether you're a gourmet chef or a foodie, Porto offers a range of options to satisfy your palate without breaking the bank. Navigating Porto is a breeze, but how much should you budget for transportation? Now, in the heart of Porto, public transport is your best friend. A monthly pass for metros, buses, and trams costs around €30. Quite a bargain, don't you think? For those preferring the convenience of a ride-hail service like Uber, a 10-minute ride averages to about €5. But here's a pro tip. Try the local taxi services. They're just as efficient and can sometimes be cheaper. If you're considering owning a vehicle, remember to factor in costs like insurance and maintenance, which can add up. A liter of petrol, for instance, costs about €1.50. Alternatively, why not embrace the city's bike-friendly culture? You can rent a bike for a day for as little as €10, or buy a second-hand one for around €100. In Porto, efficient and affordable transport options are at your disposal. Utilities and other necessities form a significant part of your monthly budget. Let's break it down. First on the list is water. In Porto, you can expect to pay around €25 monthly for water usage. This, of course, varies with your consumption, so if you're mindful of your usage, you might even spend less. Next up is electricity. The cost of electricity in Porto is approximately €50 per month. The actual figure depends on your lifestyle and the size of your home. It's always a good idea to turn off lights and appliances when they're not in use to save on this expense. Now let's talk about staying connected. Mobile phone and internet services in Portugal are quite affordable. For a decent internet connection and a mobile plan, you'll probably shell out around €40 each month. Health and travel insurance is another item to consider. The cost for this can vary greatly, depending on your age, health status, and the kind of coverage you want. But on average, you can expect to pay about €100 per month. Clothing costs can also vary depending on your personal style and taste. However, if you're looking for a rough estimate, expect to spend around €50 per month on average. The city has a mix of high-end boutiques and budget-friendly stores, so there's something for everyone. Lastly, let's not forget about those random expenses. These could range from an unexpected trip to the doctor to a sudden craving for a fancy dinner. It's always wise to set aside about €100 each month for these unpredictable costs. So that's a quick breakdown of your potential monthly expenses for utilities and other essentials in Porto. Remember, these are average costs, and your actual expenses may vary depending on your lifestyle and personal needs. While utilities and other essentials are reasonably priced in Porto, always plan for unexpected expenses. Porto, with its rich culture and lively entertainment scene, promises a good time, but at what cost? Well, let's break it down. If you're into nightlife, a night out at a mid-range bar will cost you around €10 for a cocktail. For those who prefer a calmer evening, tickets to a theater or a movie will set you back around €7. If you're a sports enthusiast, a gym membership on average costs around €30 a month. But remember, Porto is a city best explored on foot, so that's a free workout right there. For the culture vultures, a visit to one of Porto's many museums costs around €5. And let's not forget the city's festivals. From the São João Festival to the Fantasporto Film Festival, there's always something going on. So whether you're a party animal, a culture buff, or a sports lover, in Porto, you can enjoy a vibrant lifestyle without straining your wallet. Before packing your bags for Porto, it's essential to understand the visa costs and regulations. Portugal, being part of the Schengen area, has several types of visas depending on your plans. If you're planning a short stay, the Schengen visa costs around €60. For longer stays, you might need a residence visa, which can cost up to €120, depending on your nationality and purpose of stay. The application process involves filling out forms, providing proof of means to support your stay, and sometimes attending an interview. Moreover, you might need to apply for a tax identification number, which is free but requires a local address. Keep in mind that the process could take a few weeks, so it's best to apply well in advance. It's also crucial to stay updated with the latest regulations, as they can change without much notice. With proper planning, navigating Porto's visa process can be a smooth journey. Now that we've covered the costs, here are some tips and recommendations for living in Porto. When it comes to choosing where to stay, the Ribeira district is a popular choice. It's charming, full of life, and situated near the Douro River, perfect for those who enjoy a scenic view. If you're more into arts and culture, Serofeita might be the place for you. This neighborhood is known for its indie boutiques and galleries, making it a haven for creatives. On the topic of timing, spring and autumn are often cited as the best seasons to visit Porto. The weather is pleasant and the city is less crowded than in the peak summer months. Now let's talk about scams. Always be cautious of overly friendly locals offering to show you around or inviting you to a traditional event. These could be traps designed to exploit tourists. It's also wise to negotiate taxi fares up front to avoid being overcharged. The healthcare system in Porto is generally of high quality. Public hospitals offer good services, but the waiting times can be long. Many expats opt for private healthcare, which is more expensive but provides faster access to specialists. Finally, for the digital nomads among us, Porto is becoming an increasingly attractive destination. The city has a growing tech scene and plenty of co-working spaces. However, do keep in mind that while the cost of living is relatively low, the average local wage is also on the lower end. With these tips, you're well on your way to making the most of your Porto experience. Let's summarize the main points about the cost of living in Porto, Portugal. From affordable long-term accommodation options to a variety of foods, both at the local markets and the restaurants, the city caters to every budget. Transport is also cost-effective whether you're owning a vehicle or relying on ride-sharing services. Utilities like water, electricity, mobile, and internet are reasonably priced, and entertainment options are vast and budget-friendly. Health and travel insurance are pivotal, and Porto offers good healthcare systems. Clothing, alcohol, and other random expenses are subjective but generally affordable. Visa regulations are straightforward and manageable. Remember the tips we shared, like the best areas to stay, the ideal times to visit, and the scams to watch out for. Now for the digital nomad rating, we give Porto a solid 8 out of 10 for 2024, considering all the factors we've discussed. Armed with this knowledge, you're ready to embark on your Porto adventure. Remember, the city offers more than just affordability, it's a lifestyle choice that many have fallen in love with.